What's this? We have Mudahar with a Monster Hunter Wilds is amazing. A poorly optimized video. Interesting. I've been playing the mess at Monster Hunter Wilds, and that's why I haven't been around in a while. But yeah, I want to hear what he has to say. So let's go.
Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar. And do you guys ever play a video game that is so amazing you just kind of have to talk about it?
Yeah, that's how I feel, and that's why I'm reacting to this video, because I'm almost done playing it, but I don't want to make a video yet until I review it. But yeah, I need to talk about this video because it's so good.
Is a game that I've been playing for the last few days. Ended up actually getting it a little bit earlier on the console.
Yeah, he got that thing like 2-3 days early, bro. It wasn't even a review copy. What's the deal with that, man? Well, come on now.
I'll tell you why I got it on the console in a bit. Yeah, and I have absolutely been enamored by this experience. If before we go into it, I just want to get up with the gameplay. If you don't know Monster Hunter, it's a game where you...
It's my first Monster Hunter Wilds, or Monster Hunter game, by the way.
Literally hunt monsters, okay? Yep. Big monsters. Sometimes by yourself, sometimes you can play with your friends. And in this case, if you have no friends, then you can play with artificial intelligence, which is actually so good that it might as well just carry you through the entire game.
I haven't done that once yet.
So when you hunt these monsters, you end up collecting their various gears, and you can make pants, shirts, helmets, whatever you want out of their gear. You can make new weapons. It's a game where you literally have to grind and grind, fighting fun monsters, and just keep getting every single gear set imaginable. And you can do...
I see that he went with the hot protagonist direction as well. I did not know what to make of this game because I never played one before. So I eventually, when I was in the character creator, I was making myself, and then I was like, you know what? Because the Valve's creator system was kind of whack in my opinion. Wasn't the best, and this one was actually a little bit better, like a lot better. There's a lot of features that Avowed just didn't have or wasn't as good as. So I went ahead and went with the hot protagonist, and boy oh boy, it's amazing. And I've seen some amazing characters made. Like I saw Kratos from God of War. I've seen Joker. I've seen so many like iconic characters like recreated. And there's also a feature that I want to try. The replayability is there just for like certain features, right? But there's like a feature where you can like download a code from other creators that have made certain and uploaded certain characters in the character creation. It's very intriguing.
Do it by the way, by yourself or with your friends. There's a massive open world to explore, and there's like a million things to go get.
Oh boy.
There are so many trees you can go down. So many hours can be spent doing every single facet of the gameplay that if you're somebody that is a completionist, you're somebody that enjoys playing.
Not me. I just love playing the game, man. And I don't put like I need to finish the game completely. Like that's not me. I'm not a guy that's gonna get every single trophy and achievement. The only reason I'm doing that if it's a Halo game and it's a good Halo game where I'm like, this game is peak. Hence the last time I did that was Halo Reach.
Playing like loot heavy games. You're somebody that just loves good combat with tons of different weapon types.
Crisp,
if you just love fighting big old monsters, this game's for you. And that's pretty much the best way to succinctly review Monster Hunter Wilds, okay?
It's fun. Gaming is supposed to be fun, and it is fun. It delivers. And I don't know if I look at this game more highly because of kind of the ugly stepsisters we've had recently. Like we can go down the road with Concord, and then Avowed. I mean, we might get another one with Assassin's Creed. There's a couple others that are in there that I can't remember, right? But
and
still,
while I've seen online that the game is apparently 15 hours long, I can assure you from a Monster Hunter gamer that you can absolutely play this game for hundreds of hours.
You can. But like me, who doesn't have much time to game these days, I try to dedicate as much time as I can. Like this, it was my birthday weekend, so I had barely any time at all. But I played this as much as I could. I played it 10 hours straight on Friday when I got the game from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that's pretty much the whole story. If I play it tonight or tomorrow, I will finish the game. And I will start to make my review. Because I didn't do any side quests at all. And I will say that because people have been saying that this game is actually very easy compared to Worlds, which I assume is true. Now, to be frank, I haven't finished the game at all. I've killed some of the big bosses. like the one that looks like spoiler alert, right? But the one that looks like Zapdos, which that fight was phenomenal. There's also a couple issues with that fight as well that kind of took me out of the immersion. But the game's fun overall. But it is easy. I haven't died once yet. But you know, it is what it is.
Because just
a lot of
finishing
fun.
the main story and seeing the credit rolls is basically like completing the tutorial. Then you start getting into high rank, end game stuff.
That would make more
sense.
sense.
When the game really.
So that would give me the same feeling as Destiny, because I remember when I played Destiny, I beat the whole campaign in like one night with my friends, right? When it first came out, because we were so hyped about it, you know, the new Halo game type deal, right? And the campaign was relatively short. Now I didn't play any DLC on Destiny at all, you know, back in the day, I was like, well, that's it. I'm done with this game. And I went and sold it. With Monster Hunter, I don't know if I'm going to have that same reaction. I kind of want to wait around for DLC and also go down all the side quests that I missed, because I've kind of just been trying to enjoy the game as much as possible. And I was really pursuing to beat the game and seeing where I would get stuck, where it just got too hard. But it doesn't seem to be too hard at all. Which is concerning. If I don't die on the final boss, I'm gonna be kind of upset.
It allows you to flesh out
just like breeze
your Monster
through, you know?
Hunter experience.
Like, come on.
So again, if you're wondering for the price of admission, is there enough content, and am I gonna get bored? I'm gonna say if it
I'm not bored yet, but then again,
with you,
I'm not past 20 hours.
Me, like it has clicked with me, you will absolutely get your money's worth out of this game.
It's an amazing game. Yeah.
It plays well. It's an absolutely brilliant step up to the Monster Hunter franchise. And I would say that if you are somebody who has always played a previous Monster Hunter game and wanted it to be a little bit more accessible, this game is about as accessible as the Monster Hunter franchise is gonna get.
That's good. There's a lot of things in the game I didn't realize, like, and I'm not a guy that's gonna like go through all the tutorials and read every single thing over and over again and go back and try to figure out what's what. And it seems like it's kind of straightforward, and a lot of people said it wasn't. There's a lot of things that I didn't realize at first, but it wasn't too much of a hassle to figure out. Like for instance, sharpening your weapon and stuff like that. I will say though, gosh, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Jesus.
Without it absolutely taking away from that,
I had a huge point to talk about.
Hardcore purism that you know, older gamers of this franchise are usually aligned for. Okay, it's actually a perfect balance for old and new.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. This really felt like I was playing like and I've talked about this on the channel, like for instance with Star Wars and Pokemon and a lot of these IPs that I grew up loving as a kid. And when I grew up, you know, I kind of wanted it to be a more darker themed, more mature theme, because obviously I got older and I'm more mature, you know, quote unquote. And this game feels like the Zapdos fucking battle. I forgot what that monster was called, but like it felt like I was watching. I think it's Pokemon 2000. I could be wrong on that, but when Zapdos and Lugia and Moltres and Articuno are battling, man, it really feels like I'm in like a Pokemon style world. Like I'm really seeing these beasts, these godly monsters fight it out, deck it out. And then I'm there, and then I'm fighting it, and it's such a cool vibe, man. It really is. It's hard to put my finger on exactly how to describe it poetically, but I fucking love it, man. And it's kind of like, you know, Power World had like the similar kind of nostalgia, you know, iconic feel of a Pokemon game with the design and everything like that. Because obviously, if you look at Arceus and you look at Power World, it's very similar, but it has darker themes that it leans into, which I appreciate. I love it. But it just steps it up, you know, because when you think as a kid, you're thinking like the graphics are gonna get better and just, you know, this feels like what I envision what Pokemon could have been back in the day.
But there's a bit of a concern with this game.
That's the point. I
forgot, and that is how it looks. Now, to give you an idea, I am somebody that is, you know, I do enjoy a game that runs well. I don't really care so much for the graphics these days. I
don't either. Elden Ring's one of the greatest games of all time. Fidelity's not that great. I will say that I mainly like to play my games on console, because it seems like nowadays most games are optimized better on console in general, especially the PS5. And saying that, I played on the PS5, and he's probably going to get to it. I did not play on the PC, so I wonder how bad the optimization really is, because obviously the title of this video. There are a lot of parts and I kind of tested switching back from like frame rate preference, having that as high as possible versus like the actual quality of the image. And even with both, like there was scenes that were just completely just not smooth at all. And for instance, with I'm gonna let him talk because I want to talk about one scene in particular that really it kind of killed the whole momentum of the game. And it's kind of funny that it happened because that's when I stopped playing. Amazing point in the game, by the way. Still had fun with that moment, but there was just magic taken away from the situation. I'll talk about it in depth here in a second.
Most video games that come out now look pretty good for the most part.
They do.
However, I'm just somebody that enjoys a game running at a stable frame rate, okay?
Yeah.
Instability is an issue, and that's something this game is pretty much known for. The greatest monster you'll be fighting is actually terrible performance and optimization. So this footage that you're seeing right over here is from the console version of the game, and I'm running this, mind you, with the quality mode, so I've got like the ray tracing, the frame rate is limited down a little bit.
Okay.
And these are not PlayStation 2 textures. No. These are textures from the actual PS5.
Oof, it looks a lot rougher than what I was having. I was mainly playing with the highest frame rate possible.
Build of the game. You might be like, but Muda, maybe you didn't update. No. This is with the updates. Every single patch has been installed.
Okay.
All optimizations that Capcom could have provided are there. The game looks like absolute dog shit. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, these textures might as well be from the fucking PSP, okay?
Okay, to be fair, if you played with the actual frame rates at the highest peak on the PS5, I thought the game looked phenomenal. I don't know what he's talking about. Now, I'll talk about the one situation that really pissed me off, and it wasn't even like the frame rates. It was the audio issue. So there's a battle, and I already mentioned it with the Zapdos guy. He battles the white Fang, I think they call him. I forgot exactly what the name is. But the big arching enemy. There's like a release trailer that just talks about the white dragon monster, right? You see this big fight, and there's this big like cinematic introduction to the fight, and there's a lot of story dialogue that's playing off of. Like there's this kid that you're trying to find his village and all this kind of stuff, and there's a lot of like moments that are supposed to be sympathetic and just immerse you into this battle, immerse you into this dangerous situation, and the audio completely cut out. So I just had like, it was almost as if you remember back in the day, there's this Mission Impossible movie that came out, and they kind of like left out majority of the audio in that trailer, and so it just had like some basic stuff that was pretty much silent the whole time except for a couple sound effects and moans. Yeah, it was rough, man. So in the game, I got no dialogue practically at all. I just got grunts and stuff like that. A couple phrases here and there with the dialogue, but I could see the dialogue because of the subtitles. But it just killed the whole vibe because it was such a good cutscene. And then I would have to go back and watch the cutscene in the main menu, which was so just not satisfying, man. It wasn't. The fight was so cool. Once the fight started, the audio corrected itself. It was just that part. But I did notice, in certain parts where like the terrain's really, really detailed, especially when you're going into the jungle and it's having like the light shine through, or details with the vines and stuff like that. It would all like kind of blur together sometimes. There's a lot going into the game, and I don't know if it's the PS5 can't handle it, the optimization isn't there, what it is exactly. But there are moments where the graphics just kind of poop the bed, I guess, right? To keep it PG. But the quality of the game throughout the whole game, I would say 99% of the game looked very crisp. It looked very good. The art direction is so good. It's not like a plate where I'm like playing the whole game and I'm like, man, these textures look like crap. So it's kind of surprising to hear this.
Hey! Now, I know my Monster Hunter, to give you a context of it.
Yeah, that looks terrible.
I've been playing Monster Hunter since the old PlayStation Portable. This isn't actually charged, but you guys probably remember playing Monster Hunter on the PSP with your friends. I used to play with my friends at the lunch table, and I used to have this app on PlayStation called Ad Hoc Party, where you could like come home, connect your PSP to your PS3, and just play online. Like a lot of those ad hoc games on your PSP, you could just play with your homies. I was monster hunting on the old school PlayStation PlayStation Portable.
Damn.
And you know what? That's why graphics aren't that big of a deal with me. But at least in the days of the PSP, the frame rate fucking worked, okay? Which is
You just gotta use the frame rate mode, brother.
the actual important part of this situation. Now, obviously, when a bad PC game somehow releases on the actual PC storefront, what's interesting enough, this is the craziest shit that I always see.
Oh, he's talking about PC?
Steam,
that would make more
right?
sense.
So Steam is probably one of the biggest PC, storefronts ever. Game
Obviously.
releases. It's gotten 2 betas so far. It has a benchmarking tool, all of which have proven that the game runs like absolute dog shit on the PC. This version says mixed reviews. 53% of the reviews for this are positive. Now, the funny thing is, none of this have anything to do with the gameplay. Generally speaking, most people, like I've said in the beginning of this video, actually enjoy the gameplay. It's
So good.
The
Yeah.
gameplay is actually great.
More
I
speed.
mean, even if you look at the amount of players playing this right now, guys, as we're talking,
Millions.
757,000 hunters
crazy.
are on Steam alone.
This game's a
that
big
number
old
is
W.
obviously far larger on the PlayStation.
Yep.
One of the all-time top 10 peaks on Steam. It's actually killing it. 1.3 million people playing as of 6 hours ago. That's fucking...
I think that's also the top, bro. The release of your game is so important, and this is what kind of worries me about Assassin's Creed. Because boy, the timing couldn't be any worse. You came off of so many duds. Monster Hunter comes in, just contrasting the whole industry of how quality this game is, right? And then you're gonna have one of the most, you could say, famous. I don't know what you want to say, but this game has a lot of controversy. It's talked about a lot. It really is, and it's coming off of the tails of this. So
crazy. However,
Ooh,
the
boy.
performance
Will it
is no
stack
joke.
up?
All right. Obviously, when talking about this, literally one user says, I'm able to play at a comfortable, stable frame rate with good visuals because thankfully I'm blessed with quite a decent setup. But what the hell is this lack of optimization? And you're trying to force frame generation on us.
Ooh.
So you know when I talked about frame gen basically being required? Literally in their system requirements, I swear to God.
No
right?
way.
This is the minimum requirement.
Oh, I have that. The GTX 1660. That's interesting. But mine's a super. Wow. I could actually play this game on my shitty ass PC.
For the game, by the
wow.
way. You need a 1660 GTX, which, whoo, I would love to smell the fucking fumes from the gaming room that
Should I try
GPU
it?
is running this game on, okay?
Oh, boy.
You need 75 gigs of available space, which is fine. SSD is needed. We get it.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why the textures aren't loading properly, even with the best SSDs. The game is expected to run at 1080p, upscaled from 720 resolution, 30 FPS under the lowest graphic settings. So,
Okay.
lowest possible system that they have, 720p, upscaled to 1080p. Dog, we are back to 360 PS3
Hell yeah, baby.
resolutions, homie. So, of course, going up to the recommended specs with, by the way, a 2060 RTX, and a Intel Core i5 10400, which isn't all that crazy, but
it's
it should
not.
be able
It's
to run
good.
this game.
Yeah.
SSD is required. The game is expected to run at 1080 60 frames with frame generation enabled under the medium graphic settings. Yeah, when I read system
should be
spec
good.
sheets like that, it shows me that the game is very much an unoptimized mess. Now,
1080, okay, I get it, but like 1080p at 60 frames is not bad. If you have a good art style, like I'll play Elden Ring and enjoy it at 1080p with 60 frames. Like if that is actually accurate, that shouldn't be a problem with this game because the art style is good. But it does seem like, and even with the PlayStation 5, it does seem like there's a lot of scenes, and I was like hyper fixated on the graphics, like not fucking up and stuff like that, because there was a lot of talk going into this game about the graphics. So yeah, I'm shocked, and like the queso scene is taking the world by storm, or it's not queso, I guess, but it's like the cutscenes look phenomenal, but the actual gameplay, there's a lot of situations where things pop and get a little choppy. But I would say 99% of the gameplay I have is so crisp.
Monster Hunter Wilds is a good-looking game, but I don't think this game is that good-looking that we need to have, even these system requirements actually taxed with running the game with frame generations and just at a baseline of 1080p. Okay.
Yeah, I would put this in perspective. So compare this game to one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 5. For me, that was PlayStation, or not PlayStation, I'll even go PS4. Hell. Final Fantasy VII Remake. That game, I played it a little late in its cycle. I didn't play it right at release, so let's be fair there. There's probably some updates and optimization they added to it. But there's not one scene where it bugged out on me, where I was like, what is happening right now? I'm definitely playing a game. That game ran so smooth, actually smooth, and then the DLC as well played so smooth. There were points in part 2 that had a couple choppy moments, but I mean they increased the size of the map like so much, like that's bound to happen. But the game itself was like 10x compared to the original.
Okay? It should be going far beyond it. I realize that the closer I get to games nowadays, like games in 2024, 2025, heck, even like a year or two ago, it feels like the actual like visual quality you get from a video game kind of feels similar to a game that I would have probably seen 6-7 years ago at this point. But at least in those cases, games were running.
I will say The Last of Us, like God of War, like the really big IPs when it comes to PlayStation, the iconic ones, typically don't have these issues. And I think that is such a it's so important, because you were trying to make a cinematic experience in a video game, and when you have those screen tears, those pixelization moments, the frame drops, like in movies, I hate when, because I'm supposed to be immersed in a movie, right? I'm supposed to be in the experience, like not thinking about anything except for this movie. And be leaving this world. So if you're trying to do that same experience in a video game, and it's a lot longer, that's a harder ask, and obviously it's all fucking generated, it's not filmed. So I have leeway for it. I do. But it's still like certain things in movies, like lines and stuff like that, will take me out. That will happen in video games, but also you have the just technology defects where you don't watch a movie and it just out of nowhere just like starts flickering, like maybe back in the day with the VCR playing, or whatever type of actual player, the limitations on that technology might that might happen, but everything seems to be digital nowadays. It doesn't seem like that happens in theaters anymore. Like the last time I can think of that happening was this movie theater called The Rave at my town, and now that theater, after the pandemic, has been sold and is actually a church. So yeah, I don't have that experience anymore with the movies. So it is interesting to compare the two, because this is a cinematic experience. Like, yes, the gameplay is very good. I always say gameplay is king, but it's not everything. It's not, and there's a reason why Avowed, like the gameplay in Avowed, is good. It's crisp in some areas. Now, is there a lot of stuff lacking that they should have had in the game? Yes, for sure. But the stuff they do have in the game, it's good. Is that game good? I'm not saying that at all. I'm not, and I'm gonna make I'm gonna go a deep dive on that game after I do Monster Hunters, because this is more important to me. But yeah, it's actually a really interesting concept to think about.
At their native resolutions, no upscaling, no frame generating. Things actually looked sharper. Games that released 5-6 years ago, in my opinion, at least, as somebody that just played through Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Ooh, I need to play that.
I definitely feel that games were a little bit sharper back then. Now that we have to require things like upscaling, frame generating, things tend to lead to a genuinely softer image. Now, of course, obviously with a PC like mine, I don't expect myself to have any issues with this game, but I don't expect it to be running perfectly either, okay? Monster Hunter Wilds is a absolutely brilliant game.
Yep.
The unfortunate part about it is no matter where you play, the optimizations just aren't there. Even
if I play on the PS5 and I'm having issues, everyone's having issues. Faux show.
On a console, right? Even on my system, I'm able to get
And the reason why the console has a better experience is not because it's a better piece of hardware. It's because it's catered to, because I don't know. I don't think there's more people that use consoles, but maybe there are. So yeah, consoles have been treated very, 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 very well in this generation with optimization. Extremely.
60 frames per second on a PS5, but the game definitely looks blurry and it definitely is missing a lot of those graphical features like ray tracing, which honestly in this game, with or without ray tracing, I really don't care.
There's a lot of actually like sun rays that it does help it pop a lot. They do a very good job of like reveal, like the Breath of the Wild reveal. They have a lot of different areas, a lot of different environments, and a big reason that they pop so much and they work so well is they're able to utilize the light effects. So I think ray tracing in this game does. It's not essential, but it's just icing on the cake.
I think, genuinely speaking, if you want to get the 60 frame experience, it might literally be the console and one PC that you may have that you might literally want to knock the settings down to lower, if not medium, even with a high-end rig, just so you're hitting that actual frame rate, which is so important for an action-based game like Monster Hunter Wilds. And I feel like a lot of this comes down to the RE engine, which obviously, if you don't know what the RE engine is, it's the engine this game runs off. It's Capcom's Resident Evil engine. It first debuted with RE7, which great looking game.
It's amazing.
And it kind of shows you for a smaller scale game where there's not necessarily open worlds or crazy NPCs with full AI roaming around, it works relatively well.
Back to his point where like having frames is key with this game. It really is, because when I was experimenting with switching from the quality setting versus the gameplay setting, I was playing a boss, and it made it so much harder to fight that boss because everything was a little bit blurrier. You're not standing still much in this game at all. Like, you're just not. Even when you're walking around enjoying the environment and talking to NPCs, you're moving still, right? And the models in this game move a lot too. And like, this game is beautiful in my opinion, but it's not as finished as a Final Fantasy mainline game right now, right? Like, because those games just look stunning to me. They look crisp. It just feels like they just put so much soul into perfecting and making sure everything just looks smooth. This game doesn't feel that way. Some of the character models, when they move around and stuff like that, it's a little wonky and stuff like that. This is little minor critiques I have, right? It's not as like grounded and like realistic with their movements and stuff like that. It is very good, but it's not like super duper S tier or whatever you want to go. It's not God tier. It's not the one above of all. It's not. The gameplay, I think, is king. It's phenomenal, and just the overall art style and the direction of the game. It's so much fun.
And obviously, you start to see some issues when you move to the semi-open world of Resident Evil Village. And of course, Dragon's Dogma 2, which released not just a year ago, which had serious issues on the PC. I heard that game wasn't... This should have been absolute red flags.
Had a lot of bad experiences.
Some unoptimizations for a side game, but I really do think that Capcom, with obviously having like this is their mainline actual entry, mainline franchise, probably should have put more effort into it, probably should have put more serious thought into the engine than letting it release in this state. Look,
I don't think so, because if you think about this window for the year, now you gotta think about all the games that are coming out. This was the perfect time for this game to drop, and also the overarching, I think, sentiment from the people I've heard even talk about this game at all. I haven't done much research at all, but it seems like everyone's enjoying this game. I mean, the amount of players that are playing it, it's crazy. There's a lot of hype for this game for sure, which is wild to think because Monster Hunter Wilds came out of nowhere, for me at least, and for a lot of different people that never experienced this before. I think this is a great game to try out the franchise with. And I don't think if they would have delayed, what other games are they competing with in their month? Like, they are the king of February and maybe March too, which is great because that means this game's going to consistently sell. Like, when you had a game that came out like Elden, or I think, didn't Horizon come out that year too? Or like a couple years before? Or no, a couple days before, sorry. So you have a situation where the competition is weak, and if you want to play a new game, it's Monster Hunter Wilds right now. So yeah, I don't think delaying would have been and usually I say delay until you can make your game perfect as much. But they could just update this game, right? You know what I'm saying? They could just give it an update in a couple months and make it run smoother. Hopefully that's possible. Because if they still have these issues when the DLC comes out later on, that will irritate me. That will bug me a little bit, and it will kind of it'll take points off of what it could have been, right?
Monster Hunter Wilds, super great game. It's
Amazing.
just obviously it's really hard to recommend a game like this for $60.
70 for me. Yeah, that is huge. Yeah. Yeah, I recommend people to go try out Avowed and see if they like it because it's free for a lot of people. This game is $70. And I meme on Avowed and I tell them with, like there's a lot of problems with this game that I do not like. And I go down a laundry list of fucking issues I have with it. But for a lot of people that play on Xbox that I know, it's free and they know I've played it. And there's certain concepts where I could put myself in other people's shoes and be like, you might enjoy this game. A lot more than I did, at least. For this, it's like, this game's amazing. And I tell my friends to go, and they're like, oh man, this sounds amazing. I saw the trailer. It looks really cool. And I got them all hyped up. And then I'm like, so you play that game? This literally happened to me 2 days ago. My buddy was like, yeah, I saw it was $70. And I said, fuck that shit.
When there are some glaring performance issues. And look, I bought it on console simply because I knew that I wanted the best out of a unoptimized experience. I've been having a fun time, and while I would have bought it on PC, given all of these performance issues, I don't think anybody should be buying the game for full price on PC.
And this is why you buy it on console. If you get a hard disk, like I did, and I lucked out, bro. I went from GameStop to GameStop and I found one that had a copy. You could just sell it when you're done. Now, I'm in a pickle because I'm like, do I want to sell it or do I wait until the DLC comes out? But when I do that, it's going to probably drop in price, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm in a predicament right now thinking about that. But still,
until Capcom
you have that ability to actually sell it,
fixes up their engine issues,
which I love.
So the game people buy actually runs. Nothing is more annoying than playing in a game as amazing as Monster Hunter Wilds and having your experience be ruined by things like performance on optimizations.
Yep.
Just because it's something that should have been fixed a long time ago, something that should have been fixed literally day one as the game should have released.
Yep. And this also is like what, because if this is like the final product that they had available for launch, there's probably a lot more issues that were prevalent in probably the last couple months, because they obviously probably smoothed out a lot of things, you would think, right? So it's like, how bad was this when they were playing it like 2 months ago? How bad was this? Or was this the thing that they thought they had ironed out already, and these are some bugs that they didn't even realize? Like, what were they testing this equipment on? Like, there's just a whole laundry list of things. Like, some games, they get developed, they test them on like high quality GPUs and processors and CPU and all that kind of stuff that's like so high end that like the normal person wouldn't even have access to it. We're not even talking about like mainline GPUs like the 50 series that still normal people don't even have access to, or even if you want like a 4090, you don't even have access to that either. It's like, I went to Micro Center yesterday and I looked at their GPUs and they didn't have anything. It was like Mad Max. It was just a desert. It was a wasteland. It was like a Fallout wasteland. There was nothing there. It was honestly tragic to see. And then you go look at the prices on GPUs online, and it's a travesty, man. It's a fucking travesty. So yeah, this actually is a great point. Would I recommend this to people? Yes, but with a asterisk for sure. Which is a shame, because I think this game needs to. I want this game to succeed as much as possible, and it's obviously doing amazing right now. I mean, over 1 million people playing it at once is phenomenal.
Capcom had plenty of years to realize the issues in their engine, and there's really no reason to be excusing it.
Yep.
It's just a shame that the game is actually quite top tier. This might actually be literally, I'm not joking here, my game of the year so far. And I know Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has come out, a lot of good games have come out, but this is genuinely an addicting mess. Like, the moment I don't like get out of, or get some free time away from work or doing anything, I do genuinely love to play Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yes.
And there's no joke about that. It's actually a great game.
It's fucking awesome.
It's just a shame that at least on PC, and to an extent even console, it's kind of an unoptimized mess.
Yeah, if this was a mainline PlayStation game, this would not be a problem.
Yes. And
you would
hopefully
think at least,
that gets patched up as time goes on, and hopefully that gets fixed up. I know that every single release of this franchise isn't perfect, but this is quite possibly one of the most accessible beginner franchises for people who are just jumping into Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
It's just for those new
This is like the Elden Ring for the Soul type games, right? When you have the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, all those kind of games, this is like the Elden Ring, because for a lot of people, Elden Ring was the first game that they played that was like that. Because there is an easy mode. If you could play the game certain ways to make the game very easy. I don't know how easy that would be. Like if comparing that to Monster Hunter Wilds, I know a lot of people say the dual blades are like the easy mode or like a beginner friendly weapon to use because it's a more fast paced, and I fucking love it. Maybe that's why I'm just breezing through the game. It's I don't know.
New people on the block. I hope you guys realize that
Demon mode is crazy, though.
It gets rough in the beginning, but hopefully it gets better. Hopefully, if you grit your teeth through it, maybe Capcom will come in with some fixes.
That sucks.
Hopefully they'll address this because
I didn't think it was rough in the beginning at all. I thought it was actually phenomenal. I think when I started having issues were when I was going to different areas, right? When you're moving from away from the first area, I guess you could consider that at the beginning. There was just like minor things, and I always had the fidelity, or not the fidelity. I always had it on the frame. Like I was playing at 120 frames, I believe. I was playing at max frames. I don't know, maybe 120 or 90. I'll just go look.
As of now, it's kind of a shame seeing it happen in this way. But yeah, PC games, at least with PC gaming and optimizations, it's such a headache to see constantly AAA release after AAA release.
This is why a lot of people don't want to play on PC, by the way. People say it's a superiority race, right, for gaming? Yeah? Yeah? Okay.
Consistently get worse and worse and worse.
Exactly.
I really feel like the only release this year that has actually been good has probably been Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on PC, where things just ran out of the box.
Interesting.
I don't even think that game has any form of ray tracing, just upscaling, and it somehow looks prettier than most of the games that have released this year. And
that's not hard. That's not hard at all. That's a low bar. But yeah.
Also runs better on most hardware. There's no reason why Monster Hunter Wilds should be having frame rate problems, issues up the ass, especially when it still doesn't look as good as most modern AAA games out there. Very fun gameplay.
It's not okay. It's true. It doesn't look like God of War. It doesn't look like a Final Fantasy. What other games? Comment down below. What other like breathtaking games there are? I haven't played Hellblade 2. I want to play the first one before I play that one, but I heard that I've heard the graphics on that are fucking amazing. I would consider it kind of like Elden Ring ish. I do prefer the Elden Ring art style, the art direction in that game as well, but there are moments like because you can like zoom in on your character to make them closer and see more their like the details of the face and stuff like that. I do think there's a stronger fidelity in this game than Elden Ring, but the art style in general, I prefer Elden Ring, so I would still put Elden Ring's graphics over this game. And there wasn't any like big tearing or anything like that was noticeable at all with me. No like huge bugs in the cinematics or anything like that. Threw me off completely. Still very excited to finish this game though.
Poor performance for really.
I definitely do recommend it, but there is an asterisk to it.
But ultimately, if it was my review up here, get this game, but probably get it for a console and run it on performance mode, okay?
Get it on PlayStation.
Okay? Because you'll probably want to pull your hair out if you play this on PC or try experimenting with sessions around. And I'm sure
I want to see someone play this on the Xbox Series S. That is intriguing. What else is this game on? I think it's just the Xbox, PlayStation, and the PC. Dude, imagine trying to play this game on Nintendo, though. Oh my god. Ooh, I bet they have this on Steam Deck, too, right? Because it's on PC.
I'm sure that there's people watching who are like, I'm having a great experience on the PC, and for that, that's amazing. That's perfect. But this is not a standard situation for most of the gaming audience out there. And I feel like before we go further and further into having games look better and better and better and push technologies further and further, we need to at least acknowledge the optimization problems that aren't just in RE Engine, but are in plenty of other game engines right now. There's something seriously wrong when it comes to the optimizations regarding PC stuff that needs to be addressed
100%.
before we take the next step in making games look better. Okay?
I don't even think it's just PC. I think,
at least that's just my opinion. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.
I think that's a great point to make. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of issues in the gaming industry where it comes to like certain like minute things and tactics and methods that they use to make the video games. And I'm not a fucking developer. I'm not an expert on these things. I just watch some YouTube videos here and there, and I'll hear perspective from a guy that knows a lot more than me. But it does seem like there's an issue with the way they make the games these days. And with AI, I think those issues are going to honestly just spread like wildfire, and they're going to utilize AI to kind of use it like makeup in a way and cover up those blemishes. It's kind of annoying because it feels like a lot of the games back in the day were just made better. I know the graphics weren't as good and there wasn't as many cool mechanics as there are nowadays. I mean, it feels like we're getting to a point where we're actually kind of plateauing with mechanics because, frankly, most of the mechanics are being reused in most games. It doesn't feel like there's new mechanics in all the big games that come out. It seems like, most things are reused, but it's cool to see something new here and there. Which, hopefully they don't, we don't get more gaming mechanic patents, because then we would also, there'd be a cancer for the gaming industry. But still, it's like, you think of the games back in the day that didn't get, updates before modern gaming, before the Xbox 360. Like, you bought a game, and that's what you got. And if it was a buggy mess, you would return it, and that's why people love Blockbuster and what was that one? It was like a Netflix service almost. They used to like mail you video games. I forgot what it was called. My cousins had it. I thought it was so cool. They could like play a game and then mail it back in and then play another game. And they didn't have to worry about like it being out of stock at Blockbuster or whatever. Yeah, it was kind of like in between the Red Box era and the Blockbuster era. Yeah, I forgot what it was called. But now we have obviously Game Pass, which wants to be the Netflix of gaming. So, but yeah, this is a really good take on this video. This video is really great. But yeah, let's go back to it real quick. Definitely deserves a like. It's very early right now, and so I'm sorry, I'm kind of stuttering everywhere. But yeah, let's check this out. I don't understand, how did we go from Battlefield 1? Oh my god. That game is such a masterpiece. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Looking so good in 2016, running at 200. Bro, it was running at 200 plus FPS in 2016. That is crazy. In situations where 64 players are flying aircrafts, throwing 200 grenades to this wherever game looking mediocre requires a 5090 with DLSS and frame generation to run properly. It doesn't take a 5090 in most cases, but sometimes I guess it might. But yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. 2015 running game in 4K at 60 frames per second. 2025 running game in 720 at 30 frames per second. To be fair, what they're talking about is the 1660, and I have a 1660 on my PC, and I've never in my wildest dreams ever played a game in 4K at 60 frames per second, maybe like 2 frames per second. Let's be frank about one thing. And then 2035 running outside to touch grass. Yeah, that's a good thing to do, guys. Go touch grass, everybody. Every post about performance has that one guy that's like, works fine for me. Yeah, with their fucking $2 million setup. How about it doesn't work well on any platform? Oh boy. Talk about Concord now. My favorite part was Capcom's response on Twitter to update your drivers, disable compatibility modes, and adjust your graphics settings. Shameful, honestly. This is also a turnoff. Like when I first started playing video games on PC, learning about like updating drivers, which is very simple, honestly, but like all these different things you have to do to tweak the performance, really threw me for a loop. So I feel if you're new to like PC gaming, it's not hard, but it's so different than console gaming. So there is a little curve there. But yeah, this is the video, man. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, Muda does some amazing videos. I don't think I've ever reacted to one of his videos, but yeah, I love this game. I would recommend it to anybody. I would obviously put the asterisk on there because it is a full price game. Strategically, I don't know how much money you would get from GameStop or anything like that, but Facebook Marketplace, eBay, play through the game, put as much hours into it as possible, and then go resell it. Like my friend said something the other day, because I like golfing. I haven't golfed in a while because it's expensive and the economy's really, really, really fucking tough right now. It just is. But he was like, would I rather go golfing? And this guy is the reason I golf. Like we golf all the time. We used to all golf all the time, but it costs like $40 to $80 to golf if you don't know. and that's like 3 hours of entertainment. And he's like, I'd rather put that money towards a video game and get hundreds of hours of entertainment versus golfing nowadays. It's just, you gotta decide how much your time is worth and make your decision off of that. So yeah, that's the video, man. Comment down below your thoughts. I appreciate y'all hitting the like button. It helps this video out tremendously. It pushes out to more people like me and you. And yeah, my name is Trey Swish. This is the Ether. Hit that sub button to join the Ether. Discord's in the comment section. Let's get the 1K. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Deuces.